Class is now in session. I am Professor Hockey, and today we'll be doing another Sharks Weekly recap, this time Week 11. The Sharks came into this week with a 4-game winning streak, and they were looking to extend it to 5 with a game against the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota. And with Jones in net, the Sharks actually achieved his first shutout of the season. It was a rather complete game besides a pretty slow first period, and the Sharks got the 4-0 win, this being their third 4-0 shutout of the season, and as I said, Jones's first. The Sharks then faced off against a real tough opponent in the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets had been coming off a loss to the Los Angeles Kings, the first game of their California road trip. This would be the second one, and against them, the Sharks looked quite good, actually. They got a lot of shots onto Hellebuyck, but they just didn't get as many past their goaltender as the Jets managed to get past Martin Jones. A couple bad bounces for the San Jose Sharks, and they end up losing 5-3. However, the feeling around the team, even though the 5-game winning streak was lost, was still rather positive because they played a good team very well. The Sharks then moved on to face, or I guess host, the Los Angeles Kings. And this was a very slow game to start off. The Sharks fell behind early. At some point in the third period, they fell behind 2-0, but the Sharks showed a lot of resiliency. They managed to come back, including a goal in the last 30 seconds with the goalie pulled, brought it to overtime. However, the overtime woes of this season had continued, and they got their 6th overtime loss with an overtime loss against the Los Angeles Kings. The Sharks then played the following night against the Arizona Coyotes, a team that, while the Sharks threw the lead against them earlier on this season, they did still manage to get that victory. The Sharks got the first goal in this game, but then fell in a hole a couple of times. They allowed the Coyotes to get just one too many grade A opportunities that the Coyotes each time were able to convert on, and eventually this ends up tied at 3 going into the overtime once more. The Sharks got a power play in the overtime, but yet it still wasn't meant to be. It moved on to a shootout, and the Sharks once again failed to score in the shootout. They are now 0 for 9 on this season, and a week that started off with a 5-game winning streak ended off with a 3-game losing streak, although they did manage to claim a couple of points. In terms of offense, it came from Tomas Hertl, 2 goals, 2 assists for him, putting his point total up to 29 points. Of course, Hertl missed a few games this season, so his point total is actually quite good in terms of points per game. Erik Karlsson, who missed the final game of this week, of course, the game against the Coyotes, he still managed to get 4 assists for 4 points. He begins to continue to bring his point total up to what it was expected to be at this point in the season. Joe Pavelski gets another 3 goals to put himself up to 23 on the season. This surpasses his total that he had all of last season, and we're not even at the halfway point yet. So a great season thus far for Joe Pavelski. That puts his point total up to 30. Radil, a fourth liner, some people would not have been surprised if this guy didn't play a single game this season, gets 2 goals this week with 1 assist, doubles his point total. Now it's up to 6. And then Evander Kane, who had a really solid week himself in the past, I would say in the last 3 or so games of the week, he gets 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, puts his point total up to a rather respectable 23. For news of the week, of course, the reason Karlsson did not end up playing that game against the Coyotes was because he was suspended for a hit onto Wagner against the Los Angeles Kings. He got suspended for 2 games, so he did not play against the Coyotes, and he was rather missed. And he will not play as the Sharks return from the Christmas break against the Anaheim Ducks. Didn't really agree with the suspension in my mind, but I can definitely see why. I would be interested to see if Oliver Ekman-Larsson against the Arizona Coyotes actually gets supplemental discipline for his hit against Kevin Labanc, because I'd say it's rather similar to the one Erik Karlsson did, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But the Sharks will need to play another good one against the Anaheim Ducks before they get maybe their star defenseman back. Next is real deal Lukáš Radil. As I said, a player who many would not have been surprised to not see play even a single game this season, ends up with 3 points, doubling his point total. He's been quite good for the San Jose Sharks, and he's not only re-energized this 4th line, but he's found himself being pushed up to the 1st line in the past couple of games this week against the Kings and against the Coyotes, and so it'll be very interesting to see, as he did score a goal when he was boosted like that against the Los Angeles Kings, whether or not he will get maybe not a 1st line spot, but a spot somewhere in the top 9, because he has looked quite solid for the Sharks. Finally, the World Juniors are right around the corner. They begin in a couple of days, just after Christmas. If you're a Sharks fan and you're looking to see what prospects you want to take a look at, look no further than on Team USA with Sasha Chmelevski. He plays in the OHL for the Ottawa 67s, has been having a really solid year for them, as well as Ivan Chekovich in Russia. He's played in the QMJHL, and he plays for Baykomo, if I'm not mistaken. He's been very, very good. I believe if he's not the top point scorer, he's definitely top 5 in the league. And so those are two prospects that should be very interesting to watch. And just in general, the World Juniors is always a fun event to look forward to. Class dismissed.